In the heart of a dense forest, there existed a small village where children mysteriously disappeared, never to be seen again. The villagers were terrified, and parents lived in constant fear of losing their children. The disappearance of the children was always sudden and without warning. One moment they would be playing in the village square, and the next, they would vanish into thin air. The villagers tried to investigate the disappearances, but every lead ended in a dead end. They searched the forest, questioned the villagers, and even consulted with the village elder, but no one seemed to know anything. The villagers were baffled, and the disappearances continued to happen with alarming frequency. Parents were at their wits' end, and the village was gripped with fear and uncertainty. As the days turned into weeks, the villagers began to notice a strange pattern. The children who disappeared all had one thing in common: they had been playing near the old, abandoned house on the outskirts of the village. The house had been empty for years, and the villagers avoided it, fearing it was haunted. But the children, being curious, would often sneak into the house to explore. The villagers decided to investigate the abandoned house, hoping to find some clues about the disappearances. They searched the house from top to bottom but found nothing out of the ordinary. However, as they were about to leave, they heard a strange noise coming from the basement. It sounded like the sound of children laughing and playing. The villagers cautiously made their way to the basement, their hearts pounding with anticipation and fear. As they reached the bottom of the stairs, they were met with a sight that made their blood run cold. The basement was filled with children, all of whom had disappeared from the village. But they were not alone. A figure, tall and imposing, stood in the center of the room, surrounded by the children. The figure was shrouded in shadows, making it impossible to discern any features. The villagers were paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. The figure began to speak, its voice low and menacing. "Welcome, villagers," the figure said. "I see you've discovered my little secret. You should not have come here. Now, you will never leave." The figure raised its hand, and the children began to chant and dance around it. The villagers were trapped, and they knew they had to escape before it was too late. As the villagers watched in horror, the figure began to transform before their eyes. Its body began to stretch and contort, its limbs elongating like a spider's. The villagers realized that the figure was not human but a supernatural entity that had been living in the abandoned house. The entity, known as the Devourer, had been feeding on the children's fear and terror. It had been using its powers to lure the children to the abandoned house, where it would consume their souls. The villagers knew they had to act fast to save the children and themselves. The villagers' desperate attempt to escape. The villagers, fueled by desperation and fear, made a run for the stairs. But the Devourer was too powerful, and it summoned its dark energies to block their path. The villagers were trapped, and the Devourer began to feast on their fear. Just when all hope seemed lost, one of the villagers remembered an ancient ritual that could banish the Devourer back to the depths of hell. The ritual required a specific set of herbs and a sacred chant, which the villager had learned from her grandmother. The villager quickly gathered the necessary herbs and began to chant the sacred words. The Devourer, sensing its powers waning, let out a deafening roar and summoned all its energy to attack the villager. But the villager stood firm, fueled by her determination to save the children and the village. As the villager continued to chant, the herbs began to glow with an otherworldly light. The light enveloped the Devourer, weakening its powers and banishing it back to the depths of hell. The villagers, now free from the Devourer's grasp, made their way back to the village, where they were greeted as heroes. The villagers, though shaken by their experience, were grateful to be alive. They realized that they had been too quick to dismiss the old stories and legends, and that sometimes, the things that go bump in the night are real. The villagers also learned the importance of respecting the old ways and the power of tradition. They vowed to never forget the lesson they learned that day and to always be vigilant, for in the world of the supernatural, you can never be too careful. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe for more.